You've made it. It's the final week, and we have just one thing to do this week, which is a reflection with a little bit of a twist. So rather than just tell us how much you like the course or what you learned, we're going to actually try to think about this in terms of your future job. So, whatever future classroom or future school you'd like to work at, let's kind of put ourselves into that situation of maybe you're there, you already work there, or maybe you're trying to apply for a job there. Either way, that's your choice to think about. But we're going to take a look at the school data and then try to think about how we can use technology to suggest ways to help them reach their goals. So, if maybe they want to increase I-STEP passing rates, or maybe they have issues passing ECAs in certain subjects. Maybe it's special education enrollment. Maybe they have a really high enrollment, and so they need to do more to support their population. Graduation rates. Are students not graduating or getting through the system? What could be going on at that school, and what can we do with all of our knowledge of technology to help make a difference? So think about maybe what you would say to the principal of that school or at the school board meeting. Knowing what you know about technology, the ISTE standards, how they integrate with the Indiana standards. And you can even think about what your favorite technologies are. Do they play a part? What were some of the things you did this semester even that you really enjoyed doing? And would you like to see that integrated into your future classroom at this school? How would you advocate for these things? What would you say to kind of, help them understand the importance and the value that you see in the technology of your choice? So the Indiana School Data website, if you're not familiar with it, the IDOE Compass, they call it, has school data and pretty graphs and things for every school in our state, including public and non-public schools. Some non-public schools are not required to submit as much information to the state, so depending on who you look up, you may not find as much information as you were hoping for. So if you are in a private school situation and you're really interested, you may or may not be able to find good data, but pretty much everybody is here. So, for example, one of my schools that I have worked with is the Hammond Academy of Science and Technology, and that's in downtown Hammond, and it is actually a charter school, so it is public, however, so they are required to make all the same data submissions as any other public school. Their grade levels go from 6 to 12, and there's kind of all the other information about them that basic information that we would know. How many students are there, their enrollment, who's there. It actually shows that there's a really healthy mix, a lot of diversity in this school, and in fact, the majority population is Hispanic. There's 65% students there, well over 50% are Hispanic, and then the breakdown is provided. Free and reduced meals. Yes, it's a charter school, but actually a large number of students, 60-something%, are getting free meals. So you can kind of see the breakdown that way. And, so these are students that are in the city. There's probably some low income situations going on here because of the high rate of free and reduced meals. And so, there is plenty going on in this school. Yet we see some other trends. We see that their graduation rates are extremely high. They're doing a really good job with that. Then here's your I-STEP and your ECA scores. So you can kind of see at a glance where they're at with that. Now, I will tell you that, and you might know this already, that I-STEP generally, you'll see this same trend just about in every school, that the trend is going down. That's because they've changed the test a few times. So you'll see that actually it looks like, oh my gosh, everybody's really flunking out on this test, but it's not actually the students, it's really more the test However, it's still data that we can use to try and come up with some things that we can assist that school in or make some suggestions. Now, I know that this is a really technological school. Everybody has an iPad. There's a lot going on here when it comes to technology. It's in the name, and they're doing a lot. But what else could we suggest, or what can we suggest they make more use of, capitalize on? This would be your item for discussion. You could drill into a specific area, like we see that they're struggling in I-STEP, but if we drill it into math only, how does that compare? You can see that they're 31%, but is that higher, lower, different from English language arts? Well, English language arts is actually doing really well. So math might be an area that we'll want to spend more time on and think about how we can work on that math, because we can see the big difference in the scoring. Same thing maybe with ECA for the high school. We can see that, actually we're kind of pretty even throughout the last few years, and that's interesting in and of itself. They're not growing, but they're not necessarily going backwards either. So all these things you can take into consideration as you play around with this stuff. I'll look up another school just for fun. I live in Valparaiso, so I might look up the Valparaiso schools. And when you look up a district, you can look up any school within that. So if you can't remember the name of a certain school, you can it'll bring up the list of all the schools in the district. So if I wanted to look up, say, I don't know, the closest one to me is Flint Lake, so I might look there and see that, okay, very different story from Hammond, of course, but maybe more free and reduced than some people might think when they think about Valparaiso. So, that is potentially, this is a way to kind of change your perception even of what a district looks like in terms of the people who are there. And it might tell you a little bit different about what you thought their passing rates on different things are, on their I-STEP in different areas. So you can see that Flint Lake is doing pretty well, over the state average, but they've been consistently below the corporation average. So, what will we do across the other elementaries? And how does that affect Flint Lake? If we say compare to Cook's Corners, a little different. They're actually above the corporation. So maybe there's something going on in Flint Lake that's different than what's going on here in Cook's Corners, and that's an item for discussion that you can explore and just think about. What would you say to the principal? What would you say to your fellow teachers there? What kind of technologies do you think might benefit them? So it's a way to just help us wrap everything up, plus get some time with that IDOE tool, because it is really a useful one. And to kind of go back to some of the things we've looked at in the previous weeks, like the ISTE standards and some of these models as we've explored. Think about the SAMR model, all the stuff that we've explored. And I'm really looking forward to wrapping up the semester with you and learning about all the things that you come up with. And I've really enjoyed all of our conversations. And let's keep going. It's good stuff. So I'm looking forward to it. We will wrap this one up in a way where you don't have to make a reply to anyone else unless you feel like it. So that part is off the table. This time around, we'll make it a little easier so that we can end the semester with a nice deep breath and have some fun for the rest of the summer. So enjoy, and thank you for a wonderful semester.